happy to have Steve Dahl, who is the president of TAS Market Profile, present here for us today. Before we get started, I'm just going to do a quick risk disclosure here for everyone. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Nothing presented today should be construed as investment advice or recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific securities. Since we don't know everyone's investment objectives or risk tolerance, we are not endorsing any specific trading strategies. Lightspeed is not affiliated with this author or service provider. Data, information, and material content are provided for informational, educational purposes only. This content neither is nor should be construed as an offer, solicitation, or recommendation to buy or sell any securities or an endorsement of any trading strategy. Any investment decisions made by the user through the use of such content is solely based on the user's independent analysis, taking into consideration your financial circumstances, investment objectives, and risk tolerance. Lightspeed does not endorse, offer, or recommend any of the services provided by any service providers, and use other service used to execute any trading strategies are solely based on the independent analysis of the user. All set to go here.
All right, thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate you with that fine introduction. I really appreciate that, and the pleasure was all mine when we met out in, actually about a month ago it was, out in beautiful Orlando. But glad to be here in a virtual seminar with you here today. I'm Steve Dahl. I'm president of TAS Market Profile, coming to you live from my suburban Chicago office here today. Today's topic is leveraging market profile for instant market clarity, a topic that is very near and dear to me, a 16-year veteran of market profile, and most days it's my goal and objective to teach traders like you that may be experiencing market profile for the first time. So buckle up. I hope you learned something today. We will do an open Q&A at the end, so if you have questions, you can hold them, but you'll soon see that I'm going to call out for your attention and participation very quickly in my presentation. I also have a risk disclaimer. This is for my legal people, and in a nutshell, there's a risk of loss associated with trading. Please trade responsibly, and nothing I say here is a recommendation to buy or sell anything you see on the screen here today. This is for educational purposes only. Next slide here is one that just is a little bit of credibility building here for myself and my company. Professionals do leverage what you're about ready to learn here today in TAS Market Profile. It's used by bank traders, hedge funds, advisors, prop trading groups, brokers. In short, people that perhaps may be managing your very own wealth and you don't even know it, that they're using our product. We're seen on Bloomberg, and we are on the Bloomberg terminal since 2011. We're proud to have that association. In terms of quality control, I think we all can agree that's a pretty good thumbs up. Let's talk a little bit about them versus you. When I say them, I'm talking about institutional traders and institutions that are in the markets. On the left side of the screen here, you can see that's representative of what goes on in many professional trading organizations. And the difference between them and you is information in reality. And that's why you have Lightspeed to thank and Rob, who's out here doing his best to give you a little more of what them have, and you can have it. And there's certain things that they don't want you to know. And I'm not going to be a favorite of them at the end of this presentation, but it's true. They know that information really is the edge when it comes to trading. And those who have it are empowered to see the markets, the very same markets that you're going to battle with each and every day, in an entirely different way, a way that likely has an edge in their favor. Well, it's my job here today at the end of this presentation to have leveled that playing field so that you have access to the same types of information that they get to use on a daily basis. There's a few snippets of me in different venues that I find myself, from my green room, my studio room where I do videos, to kind of beating Main Street and Wall Street with clients and organizations and seminars. I'm out there being visible because maybe I'm a little old-fashioned. I think people is what makes the world tick, and people with products just make it tick a little bit better, and that's what I'm bringing to you here today. I'm giving you a support and learning opportunity in this venue and others that you'll learn more about. But also products that are proven and used widely. Knowledge is power in trading. That's actually on the left where I met Rob, and there's me up and close at the podium, a place I spent a great deal of my time. The water is free typically, so that's why I speak up there. All right, let's get into something we need to clarify before we can make any progress in appreciating market profile, and why it's my chosen method and many thousands of traders that have chosen to embrace our our method, okay? First is on the left, we're going to talk about market metrics, some 3 basic ones that are out there. These aren't the only ones by any means, but these are the ones that kind of are very popular when we talk to traders and say, you know, what do you use to make decisions? On the top left, you'll see it says price action. How many here in attendance, and I'm looking at the question box here, how many of you look at price action to make a trading decision? You can type a Y in the chat box. It just gives me an idea of kind of how you're making some decisions right now. There we go, there's a bunch of Y's. Okay, price action. I like to equate price action to being a moment of time snapshot where a buyer and seller agree on price, right? It sounds a little bit like this. That was me clapping here in my office. It's like a Kodak moment. And I've said this once and I'll say it again, my kids at their ages, 8, 5, and 3, they have no idea what a Kodak camera is. So thankfully they're not probably in my audience here today. It's a moment in time, okay? Again, it's a snapshot of what has happened. It's oftentimes a fleeting moment, as you know, especially in these volatile markets. A little bit further down the iceberg is volume. How many in attendance use volume at the bottom of their charts? The histogram that tells you the relative liquidity of what's going on in the marketplace. Almost everybody there, a whole lot of Y's there. And by default, most charting platforms are going to have that there for you because it is important. But what's really important in this presentation is that you understand that volume provides a history of liquidity over a period of time. You say, big deal. Well, when you get into market profile, the last one, in the deepest area there of the iceberg, the area where we got the broadest breadth and insight and information into the market is market profile. And what market profile achieves is a factual landscape of how much relative volume has aggregated, and most importantly, at what specific prices. That's the big delineation between volume by itself and market profile. When you see this in action in just a moment, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Are there any market profile users now? Oh, good, a handful of you, good, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so this is kind of to back things up here. I'm going to tell you how, as statisticians and stat geeks, how we organize information. You can go back to your stats class at the university or econ. There's a lot of different ways we can organize information in life, and trading being no different, because we deal with a lot of high frequency information and data points in trading. It's important that we can aggregate that information and put it into a format that helps us make some decisions that are organized, objective, and of course, hopefully accurate. Well, this is a normal distribution curve, okay? This is taking a bunch of data, and it doesn't even matter what the data points are. This is just an Acme example. In that gray area, about 70% of all data points will fall, and that's in that first standard deviation to the left and the right of the mean, okay, the average. As you move further away, you get into your second, third standard deviations, and as you can see, the bell-shaped curve is formed because fewer and fewer data points fall as you get further and further away from the average, and that's pretty common sense stuff, okay? The exact percentage that falls inside that first standard deviation is actually 68.3%, which is not important that you know that precision, but typically in a presentation, there's one smarty pants in the bunch, so I want them to know that I know that indeed it is just a little short of 70%. We're going to call it 70% here in this presentation. Okay, so let's move on to how do we profile trading data? Because we're all traders here, right? We're looking for opportunities in the market, and the reason you're sitting in on this presentation is you're hoping to learn something that'll help you see these markets an entirely different way. Well, down in the bottom left is a graph that looks similar to, well, maybe a volume histogram that's at the bottom of your charts, okay? The taller the bars are, as you can see in the middle area, the more frequently the data has occurred. As you move into these perimeter zones over here, you can see the histograms don't stand quite as tall, and there's less frequent in terms of volume and activity that has occurred. So when we plot price and volume in this format, it reveals the relative frequency of volume at price, which is our very first step to determining probability of outcome. So this is relating just generic data analysis, and now we're relating it back to actually trading, which is, of course, very relevant to everybody in attendance here today. Now, what we're looking to do as traders is to seek actionable information. And what you're going to soon see is that knowing the relative frequency of information is one thing. Knowing at what corresponding prices it occurs is another. And this is why you can see we've now taken that histogram, that very same one, and now we've flipped it sideways horizontally. Okay, so we're taking those standard deviations that we saw from that normal distribution curve, and now we're organizing it in a way where now that red line up above here, that it's at that 53 mark, I'll highlight it right here. You can see that that actually represents the upper band of that 70% zone. Okay, and that green line down below, about 43 in this, again, Acme example, that's going to be the bottom band, which is going to represent the bottom band of that value area. And that's what we call it. We call it a value area, a fair auction. It's known as a lot of different things, the balance area. And what you need to know at this 101 level right now is that that is where 70% of the activity is occurring now and is likely to continue to occur. Knowing where that is, we like to call that's Bigfoot. Okay, that's where the institutional bank traders, those that have humongous positions that they need to execute in the markets, typically gravitate to trading because they need high liquidity point. They need you and I and everybody that's a part of that 70% to provide that liquidity to get in and out without being detrimental to their cost average of their prices. Okay, when you get into these areas, these are the extreme or less frequently traded prices. Okay, so these are kind of the outliers. This is when you move into that, the kind of the tail end of that distribution curve where fewer data points are happening. Okay, so what we've done here by flipping it sideways, remember, is we've brought in that element of price. I think you're going to see how this puts together. This is one of my favorite slides, actually. This wraps up, many market profile books on the planet out there that are many hundreds of pages. I think some are in the thousands of pages to teach academically market profile. Well, guess what? The reason I'm going to teach it to you in one webinar is because I think far too many folks have made it much too complicated. It doesn't need to be that complicated. So let's follow the dialogue here from left to right. Okay, this is the one slide that's going to teach you how we take regular price bars on the left and we end up over here. So follow me here. So this here is your standard price bar, let's say, okay? It shows the high of the range, the low of the range, and then you can see the prices that it has enacted. So you can see that first bar basically goes from about 1070 to what, 1063? Fine, okay? And at the end of the 30-minute period, what happens? There's another price bar that inches a little bit higher. We can see the range and the activity. Fine. You can see this process continues until we put in all of these bars over a period of time. Okay, let's move along over here. TPO is what we call time price opportunity. And what we've done here in market profile, and we have Pete Stoudemire to thank for his fine work back in the 1980s, the pioneer of market profile, is we assign a letter to each of these segments, and we do it for a very specific purpose. We do this so that we can delineate the difference between the different zones, B, C, D, E. While it may not make seem like it's very important now, you'll see that it does become important when we move over into the next collapsed time price opportunity. So what we do here, and this all happens again in real time with our analytics, you'll soon see. So don't worry about having to brush up on your alphabet or anything here. What we do when we move into a collapsed time price opportunity is we move all of those letters to the left. So they're flush left, and then we get the completed profile. Now I'm going to ask you a question here, okay? Everybody paying attention? When you look at this completed profile over here on the right, I've just circled it a moment ago, and I guess I squared it, not circled it. What price is the most popular price for traders to transact business? What price is it? Yeah, there you go, 1072. It's easy to see, right? The one that stacks up a whole bunch of 1072s. You folks answered because you were quickly and easily, your eyeball was able to see, well, that one that extends furthest to the right. If I were to ask you that over here, would any of you even venture to guess that? Maybe a couple of you would have guessed and got it right, or maybe some of you would have been out there with your calculator or your Excel spreadsheet trying to figure out. But the reality is, why? There's tools and mechanisms in the year 2018 that do this for you. I like your response, Mike. No way in heck. Okay, no way in heck you'd be able to get that. So isn't it amazing how, again, this process is revealing already, and we haven't even got into the live market charts yet, okay? You can see how the value of being able to determine a price is much more valuable than just having a gauge of liquidity, which is what we get with volume all by itself, okay? So here we go. Before we can get into the charts and look at some of the analytics I have to show you today, we need to kind of give you an appreciation of what we've done nearly 2 decades ago here at TAS. We've created a variety of charting indicators. We got 7 of them in the suite, and we are available on some really nice platforms that are out there. We're not going to focus on that today, but you still have to look under the hood to understand. So what we did, instead of focus on the letters, because we found it to be somewhat clumsy and maybe, I don't know, prehistoric way to trade market profile, we added colors, but it was for good reason, and that's because it's a proven fact that the human brain recognizes colors significantly faster than the alphabet. Now, you can all get on Google and search and find a bunch of studies on this, but you'll find some that say over 100 times faster. Well, this is really important, especially in trading. When seconds matter and objectivity and accuracy matters, we want to be able to make decisions quickly and subconsciously almost, right? And that's why you can see when you drive a car, you have a stop light, and it's color-based. I don't know too many that say stop, yield, and go. Not in my town anyway. It's not an accident that a lot of things in your everyday life are actually color-based. What we've done here is we've added a red color to our market profile. So this is the same market profile that we looked on the last slide. We get rid of all the alphabet soup and we add colors. And now the red color zone tells us where that value area is. That's that 70% zone. Now look what happens in this example when the market's in that red area. The market goes sideways during that period. The market goes sideways, and then when it deviates out, it's generally short-lived, and it finds its way right back in there because the market gravitates to these high volume points. Okay, there's a lot of red lines there. As you visually can see, even without the color change, look, you can visually see that the volume falls off in these different areas. Do you see this? How the volume falls off? We make it purple and then blue so you can really focus in on the areas and see that visually with the colors, how it changes. Here's what you need to know. When markets move outside of these volume congestion zones, they'll tend to move fast and they'll move vertically. When they're inside of these high volume zones, they'll tend to gravitate and move sideways. Okay, it's a beautiful thing. I'm going to move along to the next one here because this ends up being at the core of what I'm going to show you here shortly. So when you think about trading here now for just a moment, I think a lot of traders are oftentimes overwhelmed with how much they need to know when making a trading decision. But I'm here to tell you that it doesn't need to be as complicated as you may have made it to date. So take a big deep breath right now, everybody, and your trading's about to get a lot simpler. Trading is really about determining 2 things, whether the market's in balance or not in balance. Well, here in market profile world, balance by our definition is defined as being in that 70% zone where most of the activity is. Okay, so again, those familiar red and green lines that you saw earlier, when the market's below the red line and above the green in that 70% zone, what do we expect the market to do by and large? Come on, I'm asking you. I can't see you. Well, I can see your text. There you go. You go sideways, just like the static example here. So markets that are in balance are an expression of what we call time dimension. Time passes over, but the market goes nowhere. Who likes trading these markets? Anybody here? Not me. We haven't seen a lot of these markets, at least for very long as of late. We like to most often trade these markets over here, markets that are actually out of balance, because that's what we associate with markets that do what? They move vertically, either higher or lower. So once you determine whether a market is in balance or imbalance, if we're falling in the imbalance side, then we simply look at the chart and using mechanisms that I'm going to introduce you to, we need to determine whether it's an uptrend or a downtrend. So we like to say that an imbalanced market is actually an expression of time dimension. I'm sorry, price dimension. I already said time dimension. Read the slide, Steve. Price dimension. And what I mean by that is markets move vertically here. Okay. Remember, our prices are generally following here on a ladder on your chart over there. So, well, over here, we're moving this way over time. When we're moving vertically in out of balance markets, we're moving amongst prices. So really, this is your key to success. So if you have a dinner date and this is all you wanted to learn, so your success in trading is really dependent on your ability to accurately differentiate between these 2 dominant phases of the markets and adjust your trading style accordingly. Not the other way around. I think far too many traders, and I've consulted with and helped train thousands of traders in my tenure. That's the truth. I think the problem is most traders do just the opposite. They decide on how they're going to trade, and then guess what? They're going to just hope the market is very accommodating to the way they decided they're going to trade each day. Think about how crazy that is for a moment. Pretty crazy thought, isn't it? To think that the market gives two plug nickels about the way you want to make your money in the market. It ain't happening. I got news for you. So it's humbling and refreshing at the same time. Humbling to know that you're not in control if you think you're gonna be a certain type of trader and the market's always gonna cooperate with you. But it's refreshing to know that you can adjust your style very quickly and easily using the right analytics to determine when the market's in balance or out of balance, and then adjust the way you trade accordingly, following a few simple rules. I introduce you to our number one and most popular indicator. Some folks come to us just solely for this indicator, and for good reason. This is, drum roll please, it's a one-man drum roll, by the way. TAS boxes. We also, it's known as dynamic profile. And what it does is it gives you explicit value area levels in real time to identify directional bias entries and trade management cues. Now pay attention to that key over here, okay? Because this is important. This is what's going to guide a lot of what we cover the rest of the time. It doesn't look like much, and a lot of times when people see these three simple lines, they say, big deal, three simple lines. I mean, it's what drives it. It's the algorithm behind it that's driving this that is powerful, because all of a sudden, when you see that we lay over our lines on your charts, now you can explicitly see when that market is breaking above, in this case, that top red line. We call it the high value area. And when you break above that, you're in a bullish stance. Market's out of balance. There's your specific cue that you're out of balance and you need to no longer be in short positions. And if you're an opportunity seeker, and I sure hope you are in these markets, it's time to get long. You can use these same levels for stops. You can put stops down here opposite the levels, trail them up when new levels appear on the chart. Eventually, you can see in this example, you'd get stopped out up here, okay? So I want you just to appreciate that for a moment. You'll appreciate it even more when I start asking you for tickers and time frames in the charts here, okay? So when you're above the top red line, you are out of balance bullish. You want to trade long positions only and don't be short. When you're down below the bottom green line, what do you want to do? You want to trade short positions and not be long anymore. You see an example of that over here. So what do you do when you're in between? Well, this is that, remember, the in-between area here is the area that the market is kind of in that tug of war. That's the area where the market's kind of in tug of war. I like to call it the mud pit at summer camp. You know, you got the bulls on one side, the bears side of the camp on the other, and they're trying to pull each other over there. It doesn't necessarily mean you don't have a position. Many times when the market's in balance during those zones, you may have a position, and you have stops that are resting outside of those balance zones ready to take you out when the market has a tide shift, and away you go. All right. Everybody with me so far? I hope you are. Good. Okay, so this is what I'm going to show you here today, and this is going to be one of the two products I'm going to introduce you here today, and this is where it gets really fun. We've got a product called the TAS Profile Scanner. It's actually the world's only, at least at this time, knock on wood, the only market profile-based scanner publicly available. Okay, I don't know if there's some other widget someone's created in their basement or what have you, but this is the world's only market profile-based scanner. Now, there's a lot of other scanners that are out there based in a variety of other things. I can't speak to their quality, but if you end up liking market profile, this product can be a game changer for you. It really can, okay? So let's dive into a couple of things that you see here on this static sheet, and then I'm going to bring up the product live here for you, okay? So on the left, you can see kind of a color-coded dashboard. And, well, let me just bring up the product. I think I could talk through it. This is live here now. Obviously, the time of this webinar, we're after the markets. Not a lot blinking and going on, but that's a function of the time of this webinar. What I want you to understand is how this thing saves you a massive amount of time, finding some needle in the haystack opportunities that there's no way in heck, as Mike would say, you'd find on your own, okay? So this has the S&P and NASDAQ in terms of stock indexes here. And if you like commodity futures, you can get that too, and there's some Forex in here as well, ETFs as well. So you have quite a universe in here. This really focuses on 4 core time frames: weekly, daily, 4-hour, and 60-minute. These are important time frames for any trader, even if you're going to be a shorter term and active day trader. Knowing, you know, on these longer term time frames where the wind is coming from. Is it coming from the north or is it coming from the south? So let me show you how quickly I can find opportunities using the filtering mechanisms here. Before I do that, you have to understand what the coloring is. So let's take Agilent Technologies up here. In the weekly column here, you see it's gray. If I click that, it's going to open up a chart here. And those 3 lines, do they look familiar over there on the right? Let me highlight them here over here. These 3 lines, those again are those TAS boxes, those value areas that are going to tell you what side of the market the market is. Okay. You can see, look at, you'd be on the long side during that ride there. And what side of the market have we started to initiate now? The short side. We're starting to break down. At the present, we're actually inside the value area. Do you see that over here on the right? And that's why we have a gray color cell. If it's a red color cell, let's move into the daily time frame of Agilent here. I clicked it and you see it brings up now a daily time frame. And these are going to be your trades. Again, I'm going to do this in broad sweeping stroke given the limitations on the time of this webinar, but you'd be short here, you'd be long here, and then you can see now we're starting to break down short. The number 1, a red cell, is telling you it's starting to break down. Down below, some of you are getting super excited about this, and I don't blame you. This is called the landscape chart. And what this does is this gives you, this is proprietary to us here, this gives you where the market is, the yellow line right there, and where it is relative to these value areas. So you can see on the weekly, we're inside that value area. That's consistent with what you see up here. It's gray. Down below on the daily, again, you can see you're down below it. That's why you've got a red cell. A yellow cell means you're in a new emerging area, by the way. And then on the 60, you can see over here, you're inside the value area. So what happens when a stock is bullish or bearish across all these time frames? First thing you should do is your ears should peel back like a Doberman, and you should get excited about considering what's possible in those markets. Let me give you an example here today, okay? Was a wild market today, another wild market, you got it. Let's say we wanted to find out of the 600 stocks here that we have approximately in the NASDAQ and the S&P, we wanted to find the candidates in the scanner that only were bullish across all 4 time frames. I'm going to come up here and say, show me only the ones that are weekly bullish. There they go. Daily bullish, 4-hour bullish, 1-hour bullish. Bingo. Took me about 3 seconds because I was slow on the clicker today, but you have about a baker's dozen list of markets there, okay? And it's dynamic. So it's a sea of green. These are the candidates, AES up top, that across all 4 time frames are bullish. Okay, and you can see it over here. Look at the yellow line represents where the market is. So think about how powerful this is. You'd have to actually go with our analytics and go look at 4 different charts. Again, weekly, daily, 4-hour, 60. Take good notes and note where the market is. But why? You could do it all in one screenshot right here from the scanner. Look at the chart here. Again, daily, up, 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 and away. So do you see how using Lightspeed as your broker, of course, you all have Lightspeed accounts, and for good reason, you can use our analytics. This is a standalone piece of software to make some decisions on what side of the market you should be trading. Again, up, 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 and away. Use these same levels to trail your stop. So this is your decision support mechanism. Lightspeed is your execution mechanism, and you have everything you need to be a more informed trader. Remember the them versus you? Well, you hopefully are going to be starting to trade a little bit more like them. Okay, this is good. All right, so let's do the same thing on the bearish, the most bearish. Let's find the bloodbath. Who wants to find out which stocks qualify to take a bloody bath? All right, let's do it, okay? Below, 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 below. There you go. It's about, looks like about 9 candidates by eyeballing it there. Here's the 9 candidates that, golly, I hope you're not long. We'll just start with that. It's a sea of red. Southwest Airlines. Look, there's storylines behind a lot of these companies. We're a technical analysis company, okay? There's other utilities out there in Squawk if you're looking for fundamental stuff. We're your technical tools provider. But look at this. Here's Southwest Airlines on a daily chart. And, you know, the goal I've always had as a trader myself and as an educator in this realm is to help traders be more objective with how they make decisions, because there's nothing worse, I could tell you, than a trader that's a fantastic trader and he works for a prop trading firm in New York City and they don't know how he does it. Why do you think that's a horrible thing for a proprietary trading firm that's got hundreds of millions of dollars to hand out to traders to sit down and trade? What's the problem with a trader just being a uniquely talented MVP trader? The problem is that when he walks out the door, so does their ability to replicate that. They can't replicate it. So guess what? This is why we're so popular in the institutional trading community. This is why we get phone calls almost every week from a prop firm or hedge fund or a CTA, a company that's having a tough time organizing objective and consistent decisions because they don't have a mechanism to replicate even when they are successful. They just go, gosh, well, I hope he keeps doing that. And when he doesn't, they're out of luck. Okay, so let's look at some other ones here, okay? So this is our see a red, there's Electronic Arts. Here you go. Bearish across all time frames. And you can see that's the tendency. Go to any of these time frames. Here's 60, down, down, down. Here's your 4 hour, down, down, down. Daily, down, down, down. Let's look at that weekly, starting to break down. This is powerful stuff. I can't impress upon you enough. This was a game changer for a lot of people when they saw this. This is called the TAS Profile Scanner. Some of you are asking already. There's some cool little features in here. By the way, up here, this is called Market Breadth, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about that in another utility we have called the Edge. But up here, let's click on the daily. This is an S&P Market Breadth. I'm zooming in, and what these 3 lines do, if you look over here on the left, it gives you some metrics over here. See this over here? What this is doing is it's tracking, in this case on the daily time frame, because that's what I've selected, it's tracking how many are bullish. Look at 121 plus 10, so 131 stocks, or roughly at 25% of the S&P are bullish. 203 of those stocks, or 40%, are actually in balance. Okay, they're in that tug of war mud pit. Neither has won the day, and then you got about 190 more that are in the bear camp. Now, what you'll see from time to time, especially when you get into some of the shorter term stuff, let's go down to the 1 hour. I'm going to zoom in here. Look what happens here. Market breaks to the downside. That's just a simple line chart down below that we give you for convenience. Look at the market's going down, down, down. Well, look what's happening. Are you surprised? The red line gives you a percentage component here. It's a simple line that's giving you a 0 to 100%. So as that red line climbs, it's telling you more and more candidates, stocks in the S&P 500 are bearish. You better bet the market's going to go down. You're definitely going to need another monitor, yes, but it's worth it, okay, for this the scanner. So you could do this on different time frames. You can also do this for ETFs. We got, look at this. This is an ETF relative strength and weakness board. Again, you have these odometers that allow you to see across the time frames, and this pulls in from the dashboard those cells as well. You can look at the energy ETF, XLE. Come to the 4 hour time frame. Let's see. See all the blue here? You can see it's largely in balance. That blue represents what percentage of that wheel or that ETF has imbalanced markets. Let's click it. Let's zoom in. Remember, we can maximize this. And look, the blue line's up here. You can see over in the right, it says 57%. 57%, or 17 of the stocks in XLE are in balance. That's a big deal. This market's pretty much, pretty comfy where it's at. But you'll see sometimes where the red line, the bears, or the green line, the bulls, are way. Look at over here. Let's again give you some proof of concept here. Market's going up, 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 and away. Look at the green line, up, 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 and away. So you'll see the market follow the leader on the 3 simple line board up above. And so you can do that, and you can make this real simple. If you want to get rid of that middle line, some people like to make it 2 simple lines. So you just basically, this is the battle between the bulls and the bears. I told you I was going to make this simple for you, and this is all market profile stuff. Okay, because remember what determines whether it's in the bull or the bear camp. This is based upon TAS Market Profile, our analytics and value area levels. Okay, all right, we're having some fun now. All right, so let me go back to the dashboard here, and I know you're going to love this. So if you liked what you've seen so far, again, the time saving and all this that's incorporated here, what if there was a really cool utility that actually just put on a silver platter some specific ideas? Again, this is an idea generation machine. These are not explicit recommendations. You need to make sure they're suitable for your personal risk tolerance and your account. But this is called the matrix, okay? And it gives you top 5 bullish candidates, and then call it the top 5, I guess we call it the bottom 5, bottom feeder bearish candidates if you're a inherent bear looking for a shorting opportunity. And here we go. You get the breakdown in this dashboard of the opportunities here, okay? And you can move this slider here. This is gonna, as you move this more and more, it's only gonna have like the highest risk reward trades. You can see it lists it right here. Let me talk you through this, and I'm going fast, but again, there's gonna be a recording for you here. You can slow it way down. You've got some candidates here. Here's the symbols. This tells you the pattern that it's based on: downtrend resistance, uptrend support, the bias. So let's take the first one, DRI. Downtrend resistance, it's a bearish trade. W short means it's on a weekly time frame. So if I click that, it's going to update the chart right there, and it's now showing you again a weekly time frame. Downtrend resistance, here's that resistance part. See how we're pressed up against that low value area green line? That's a good inflection point to think about a trade. Okay, you're gonna think about that area as being a good place to kind of lever against. So it gives you the idea. So beta 50 is a 50-day look back. If you put your cursor on any of these things here, it'll actually explain to you what it is. So it's looking at the last 50 days of the index, and it assigns a number. 1.0 would be it's moving stride for stride in the direction and at the pace of the S&P. Okay, 1.33, it's moving at 130% clip in the direction of the index the last 50 days. When you see minus numbers, it's moving opposite or in juxtaposed fashion. Okay, TVP, that's our way of saying trade validation price. In other words, an entry suggested price. TIP is trade invalidation price. That's what you might equate to be an initial risk or stop. And then TEP, that's trade expiration of target. So based upon these items, DRI has a 6.26 risk reward. That's pretty good, right? So for every dollar you're risking, if you were to deploy it as is, and if we get to that target, you achieved your 6.26 risk reward. That's a beautiful thing, and it's just put on a silver platter. Check the box over here for monitor, and it goes into this little thing called My Trades. So you can kind of make it be your tracking mechanism. Keep it on your radar if it's something you ultimately are firing up your Lightspeed account and deploying. Again, you do not need any additional data feed or plug-in or anything. This is what you see here stands on its own 2 feet. You just download it right on your computer, and away you go. Throw it up on one of your screens. Like I said, you could do futures and Forex here as well if you get into some of these boards. Okay, and away you go. But most popular and most beneficial, I'd say, for the stock trader looking for those best opportunities, the market movers that are in the marketplace. Okay, so let us bring up before and after. This is my favorite. This is eSignal we're going to use for presentation purposes here, okay? This is where you can type in tickers and time frames, and this is where I prove to you that TAS is really as good as I tell you it is, okay? I want to show you. So type in tickers and time frames. This is a 60-minute. This is E-mini S&P. We're in the futures market here, but let's go into something. Let's go look at Facebook, okay? Little known stock, some of you probably know a little bit about. Here you go. Here's Facebook. And now let's look at the analytics. Ken, these are the charting analytics here. But this is what powers and what's under the hood in the scanner. That's what you need to know, and that's why I'm doing this. Again, so look at all our congestion is up here. You can see that's that red zone, and then you get another red zone here. Look what the market does when we get inside there. We go sideways, but when we break down below that bottom green line, look what Facebook does. When we break above 161.35, look what the market does. We're way up here now. See, 168.50. So you get an idea of this, the power of this. We could do this shorter term too, by the way. Okay, let's go to look at the 5. How do you like those 5-minute charts? Fine, so be it. You can use this on any market, any time frame. So here's your 5-minute chart trade. Okay, going into the close here, we started to actually break above the high value area, and look where we are now. So these levels, again, are giving you a perpetual awareness of where that balance zone is on the hard right edge. So when you look at this over here, again, given the time of the day, we have to keep that into context, but you are, again, above that 167.86 mark. Your balance zone is down here, and we know statistically proven that when markets are above that red line and out of balance that way, they actually got some pretty good support down below, and it's not until we were to break and close down below 165.15 that the shorts and the bears are going to come and take control of this market, and you're probably going to see yourself quite a fall off to the downside. To appreciate the difference in clarity, and that's why this presentation is called Instant Market Clarity, because on the left here, this shows you just a regular chart without TAS, just a regular price bar. That's it, okay? That's a regular price bar. And then, well, hold on one second here. There we go. There you go. And then on the right, this is your kind of TASified chart here. A big difference. Look at the difference in the clarity. Huge difference. Big difference in the clarity. Again, market down, 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 but that big breakout, you were able to see that down here. So even before you were starting to see the obvious, you started to see the market positioning itself above that top red value area line, okay? So it's a beautiful thing. Mike's asking about market profile. Isn't it based on 30-minute analysis? The original market profile was, but now in the modern day, you can apply market profile across any time frame you want. It doesn't need to be only looking at 30-minute charts. It is popular on 30-minute charts, make no mistake about that, but you could bring up any time frame that you like. Let's bring up Micron, okay? Here we go. Here's 5-minute chart of Micron, and there you go. So the way you'd interpret this here, again, I'm just giving you a few examples so you know I didn't cherry pick and just slap up on the slide the best charts of the day. Again, this is without TAS, so we'll call this before, and here's just volume all by itself, which remember, we just consider this an ingredient to our analysis at market profile, and that is what feeds market profile. We need volume. So they play nice together. But by itself, again, it's just like having an ingredient without the instructions to bake a cake. So here in market profile world, we know the market's out of balance. We consider long positions, but even when the market pulls back here and we start coming down near what we call the low value area, that green line, these are the areas here where we consider getting long as well, because we can put stops just a little itty bitty down here, and then markets find support and then they break to the upside. And we know we're off to doing some positive things as that market goes up, up, up and away. And then we use these levels. Again, your trailing stops behind these levels. So you have a risk management component built in. Here's the things that you get with market profile the TAS way. What side of the market to eliminate, so you can then focus on either being a bull or a bear. A specific place at which point you can consider deploying or pushing the button. I call it the point of contact, when you decide to push the buy button or the sell button. And then you have the initial risk, and you can choose different places here. You don't have to always put it down here. You can put it anywhere amongst the ladder, outside of the green line, the blue line, the red line. And then when new levels form, you know when it's time to trail the stop. There's not too much more you need to know in deploying us at the single trade level than what I've showed you here. These closes back inside new value areas, these are great places to think about taking profits. So you have a profit-taking mechanism as well. Type more tickers now. I'm looking in the chat, retype them if I missed them earlier, because we got a lot of folks in here. DVN coming right up. What time frame? 2. So you always have to tell us time frame 2. In market profile world, as you'll see, the analytics will update based upon the time horizon. Daily. Okay, we're going to look at daily. Okay, let me change it to daily. We'll look a little big picture. And again, on the left is without TAS market profile. On the right, I'll zoom out a little bit so it's about the equivalent setup here. There we go. This is with market profile. Do you see the difference? This one's for Mike. Look at the difference. The breakdown Q was here. I'm not saying you wouldn't maybe identify that here, but I don't know how you would. I know why market profile traders, the TAS way, are doing it. They see that close down below that bottom green line. They know it's no longer time to be bullish. That was a good trade too. It's time to consider getting short and riding that thing down, down, down. Let's talk about some of the profit taking here. So short, stop up here. We trail it down like a slinky. Remember, that's the risk management side. Where's the profit taking side? Right here. Remember, closes back inside the value area. So C1, first place to consider taking a profit. Here's another one right here. Second place, I call it C2. And then eventually, remember, you're going to get stopped out down here where that market now starts to emerge this way. And now you're trading it on the long side. Market, that's exactly right, Marcus. This is exactly how I earn your confidence and how we earn your business. So we have a really cool tool that's called the Edge. I want to show this to you here. So the Edge actually, for those of you that are active day traders, how many are active day traders here? Flat by the end of the day is my definition of that. I don't care whether you trade, twice or 20 times or 200 times. Flat by the end of the day is my definition. This is called the Edge, and it probably looks familiar, right? It looks like one of the features I showed you in the scanner on those longer term time frames, weekly, daily, 4 hour, and 60. Well, this focuses on the S&P exclusively here, and it does its analysis on the 5-minute time frame right here. Okay, so I'm going to give you a visual here. How many screens do you guys trade off of? I've got an 8-screen, my main is an 8-screen setup, and then I have another one at home. It's about a 4-screen, and then my mobile one is a 3-screen. Those are my different setups. There we go. I'm 6, 5. I'm looking for a big number. Usually there's somebody who's got like 14, and it doubles as a tanning booth in the evening. Okay, so a lot of folks between kind of like 4 and 8 here. So this does a 5-minute analysis of the S&P, and this would be like the equivalent of having a 500-screen setup. Okay, 500 screen setup, and on every screen you have a 5-minute chart of every stock in the S&P 500, and it's running TAS analytics, right? So you got those balance zones on there, and then again, remember, like I told you, these lines represent the bulls and the bears, and what percentage market cap weighted. I'm gonna zoom in here now. Market cap weighted, who's in control. So let's take a look at what's happened here today. All right, so we talked about how this market started its rally here as that green line was penetrating this way. Now look what happens as these start to converge. We got the pressure point here today. There we go. When the red line starts to take things over here. Now what has happened again? The green line takes over. Now the market goes up. So you see how this works? This is basically showing you at the current time. Now again, market's not doing anything right now, but when they ring the bell tomorrow, my traders that are using this product, one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to fire up the Edge, and they're going to say, all right, who's in control on the short-term stuff? Is it the bears or the bulls? And right now, it's the bulls. By the morning, when they're getting ready to ring the bell, who knows? Maybe it's the bears. And you start to formulate what side of the market opportunities are going to be most prevalent. Not guaranteed. There's no such thing as certainties in trading, just probabilities. But this is what this entire thing is based on. So right now, again, you get those same gauges here. It tells you the number of stocks that are bullish, neutral, and bearish. It gives you the market cap weighted. So the bigger footprint stocks are going to drive up that percentage, of course, and they should. We should account for that. This is a breadth meter, so it gives you this in kind of a different visual cue here. You can see a lot of green here, right? Look at, I'm highlighting the green area, and that's because nearly 60% is in the bull camp. Volatility gauge, this was a 10 at one point today, at actually a couple different points today. So this gives you a real nice gauge to kind of know what type of volatility you're dealing with. And then here's that 0 to 100% scale over here on the left. We put this line up here at 66% because this is a big deal. When markets get up here, we say that the market's in an extreme situation. So pay attention to me here now. So when this green line came up here above that white 66% line, this is kind of like a warning signal. It's like a rubber band. Okay, the bulls have stretched this rubber band so far that it can't stretch anymore, and your opportunity is actually to start preparing to go the other way. When the market starts to, again, give you that turn, the red line's starting to come on up, the green line's starting to come down, you get that kind of kiss in the middle there, and away it goes. We do provide some ongoing training on this because a lot of you are asking some really specific questions about very specific situations. Know that if you decide to go on to use these products, and I sure hope you do, that we have mechanisms to help you continue to learn how to do this. And these are live market mechanisms and training mechanisms. Say that 5 times fast, mechanisms. I'm doing it again tomorrow, actually, okay? So for many of you, I know will probably come on board here today, and you'll be ready to join me right away, 9:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, which is great. Looking at these products, looking at it live, and getting some live commentary, okay? I normally, by the way, this thing kind of is a nice little widget we've created where you can kind of resize it and just kind of float it on top of your light speed. So you can kind of keep this on top, you can keep it where you just kind of float it around. So you know, on your screen, you can move it over here, move it in, you kind of keep your light speed charts over here ready to push the buy and sell button, and away you go. So some of you are probably asking, what's this over here on the right? So on the right, this is, we pulled in those critical levels from our scanner right here. So why did I do that? You know, if I'm going to trade short term, I want to know exactly where these other levels are, because sometimes that the market will be kissed and pressed up against these levels, and those are great places to kind of launch pad off of a trade and think about the power of seeing a market that gets overextended in the bulls, and then you're looking for that bearish position, and then you see over here the market kind of like pressed down below all these levels, starting to break even on the longer term time horizons. These are TAS Market Profile tools. If you're logging in now, you missed it. You're going to have to watch the recast with Lightspeed. I think they're going to put it up on their YouTube here soon. So you're late. Okay, so let's get into the deal, because I know many of you are saying, what's the deal? What's the deal? I like it. I like it. So you see the power of this stuff? There you go. I showed you the matrix utility. I showed you the edge. Again, this is giving you that, we call it market internals. And so you combo that with your charts at Lightspeed, where you're going to be doing your execution, and you use the edge and the scanner to find opportunities, to have a litmus test perpetually on the tide of the marketplace and when it's turning, and you're going to make better decisions because of it. That's just plain and simple how it's going to go down, okay? You do have ongoing training that we provide at TAS Market Profile and learning venues as well through our live online community. All right, here's what it costs. Before you run to the exit, by the way, it gets better, so don't run off too quick. So we sell these for $147 a month, the profile scanner and the edge as well, which is a small price to pay. It really is. If you think about how much you're risking every time you trade. We looked at charts yesterday in a presentation I did. We saw the 60-point move in the bear camp. I could show that to you if you think I'm full of smoke. I can bring it up here in just a moment. 60 points in the S&P revealed by the analytics. Okay, today was a bit more challenging, but still another good day. So the TAS Profile Scanner, $147 a month. 3 points in the S&P mini if you're trading that, and obviously just a few ticks in your choice of markets. The edge as well, again, 147. So in total, you'd pay $294 to us, but I'm not going to let you do that. You know that. Limited special time webinar. This is a limited time situation. If you subscribe to the scanner, we're going to give you a special price of $97. They changed it on the site actually right now. It's $97. And we're going to give you the edge for 3 months free. So it's just us giving you, I don't know, $450 just because we like you, and reducing your month. That's a monthly fee. So your price is $97 a month. You get the scanner. Again, let me show you what that is. Here you go. Bum, ba, da, bum. It's this mechanism right here. Again, with the matrix utility finder that's going to find the high risk reward opportunities for you. And you have the charts, those boxes built right in. The levels and landscape chart, the TAS says commentary, which is kind of like a robo commentary. It explains to you what the bias is, long-term, short-term, and so forth. And it gives you everything that you need to identify and find those opportunities. Now, it also, here's the edge. Again, remember, that's what I showed you just a moment ago. It's this. These are both standalone pieces of software, so you don't need to go on a hunt for new data. You don't need another platform. You don't need anything outside of Lightspeed. You got everything you need. Our levels, based in market profile, the scanning tool, and then again that market internals thing. And it's going to run you $97 a month. That's it's peanuts. It really is. It is absolutely peanuts. So let me show you how you get there. You just come on over to our site, tasmarketprofile.com. We'd love to have you. And you're going to go to the area. There's a spot for scanner. You'll see a tab up there. And then you're just going to subscribe. You'll see the price, at least right now, is $97 a month. It will not last. And then all you're going to do is send to my support team a little secret knock, and it's going to be Lightspeed double up, because that's what we're doing. We're doubling up your access here. Okay, so let me show you again where you're going to go, and then we're going to move into that Q&A. So here's the scanner here section. And that's what we're talking about here today. There's some videos there. So for those of you that logged in late, there's some awesome web videos here. It's just TAS Market Profile. Watch those videos, dive into it, and there you go. You can see normally it's $150 a month, $97. And then you send that email to my team. They're going to be looking for that secret knock. So get your phone out and take a picture of this here. Lightspeed double up. That'll mean you saw this, and you saw it when we did this presentation. You got Rob to thank. Send him a Christmas card for all the money he's saving you by being a fantastic negotiator with me. And that's all we got. We're into the Q&A now. If you have any final questions, for those of you that choose not to embrace TAS, I still should thank you for spending some time with me, and maybe thank you for taking the other side of some of our trades going forward. We need the liquidity. Okay, sure, we can bring up some other markets. So let's take a look here. Let me come into a little different screen here. Here is E-mini S&P. Actually, this was CHEK. I was looking at this with another customer earlier in the day, 30-minute time horizon, real nice upside ride, and then we started to see the breakdown here today as well. Again, coming into the session right out of the gates, it was a breakdown trade. Let's go take a look at that E-mini S&P, 30-minute time horizon. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can appreciate. Here's your, for those of you that look at S&Ps and so forth, you could do SPY here. Let me bring that up for you. Here you go. Very similar chart. Again, knowing what side of the market to eliminate so you can focus your attention on the other. I mean, I can't tell you how even that alone for many of you will keep you out of at least some trouble. Sure, we can look at gold, no problem. Here's June gold. Here's 30-minute time horizon. You can see the breakdown here. If I zoom in here, market breakdown, bearish, bearish, bearish on that break below 13.29. That rode all the way down to that 13.21 zone, $8 move lower, $100 a dollar. You do the math. And now the market's starting here. Again, this one trades overnight. Market is broken above. That's 13.2380. We're off to a good start on that one already. And you can see we're above that red line, those same lines that are built into the scanner. So you don't have to go out and get another platform and pay data fees. Again, you've got Lightspeed for all that. They got charts that are going to help you with that. Use the scanner, use the Edge as standalone tools in this package that we're offering up for you. And you have everything you need to make some decisions. And come on in and learn how to use it. Come in and join me tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and bring your questions, all that good stuff. Good question coming in. That's a great question. Actually, Mike, you're an all-star with the questions. Mike says, how do you do Forex if there's no volume? We actually have adapted the analytics to do time at price. We've adapted it to do time at price. So it still gives a really powerful output. In fact, let me come to the Forex board over here. What is this? So this is British pound composite. This is Forex. But look, it works. Look at that thing go fast here. Again, it's going fast in the background. These are Forex. But look, you get the same analytics. Let's come to the Swiss. And same thing. Analytics are the same. So it works. Again, when I said it works on any market, any time frame, I meant it. Ephraim's got a question. Are there any other fees besides what I showed? No. That's what's fantastic. Nicholas, are you my Florida friend? Good to see you, my friend, if so. All right. Yes. Nicholas is actually posting a remark that eSignal integrates nicely with Lightspeed, if you so choose. Yeah, sure, I can bring up Netflix, absolutely. So this is all, just so you know, like this is the type of stuff that I do in the live learning too. So after you get the product, you're not just on your own. What time frame do you want, Kevin? You could see, we're looking at a 30 right now, but we'll drill down into the 5. You can see, look at the market's above this 306.19 a share. So it's, again, it's moving outside of that congestion zone. And remember, when we have this congestion, you can see it now, and you're above that top red line, you know that you've got some support down below.
So I do see, hi, Steve, everything was great. I do see we have a bunch of questions. Is there just a general support email or contact email that people can send some additional questions for you, just so they're aware of?
You got it. You absolutely can. In fact, let me back up just a page. That's where you can visit our site, of course. There's our headquarters here in suburban Chicago. Down below here, you see where it says help desk at tasmarketprofile.com. When I do a presentation like this, my team is on standby. Usually we get hit with a lot of really great questions. Help desk at tasmarketprofile.com. Any question you have on the deal, where to go, how to learn more, that's a great place to send an email off to, and they will get back to you. They're great.
Great. Yeah, guys, I mean, we can't thank Steve enough for coming in and explaining this. It definitely showed a lot, and what professional traders are using to analyze and scan with. So you can see the benefit here for a lot of these traders really can use. We're so happy to have you present this. We're very grateful that you presented an offer here to our listeners, and I hope some guys will be able to take advantage of this and certainly contact you and ask some questions and possibly, take advantage of that trial as well that you're providing. We have some really good feedback here already, a lot of questions. So guys, definitely check out the website, go to the ask some questions and see if it's something you guys are looking to join in on. Like Steve said, this is going to be on the website and our YouTube channel shortly within, 1 to 2 days. So if you guys want to go over things again, it'll be there, and certainly reach out to Steve directly and the team, and they'll get you started on your way. So everyone, thank you so much, Steve. It was great having you here. We hope to have you back as a follow-up, but certainly. So we'll definitely be in touch with that. And guys, have a great night. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having me, Rob. So long, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Take care.